12 of the NFL's finest quarterbacks have left the comfort of their stadiums and luxury suites for the adventure of a lifetime.
Yes!
These gridiron heroes are used to leading their teams on the field, but can they outplay, outlast, and outthrow each other in the ultimate survival challenge?
You leave everything you have for the guy beside you! We find a way to win the game no matter what! Let's go, baby!
The stakes are high and the competition is fierce. Only one can claim the title of the ultimate survivor. Who will rise to the top and who will be sacked?
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though. That's the problem. I ain't right back. Let's go.
This is Quarterback Island.
Let's go!
Here we are.
That's my favorite
the look
part.
of it, this total joy on Jordan Rodriguez's face. Thank you, Randy Chavez, for voicing that.
That was great.
Thank you to Geno Smith, one of the current 12 members of Quarterback Island. If you haven't been with us on the first 2 editions, we're doing this once a month, every 4 weeks during the season, deciding who are the quarterbacks that define the position right now. Who is playing the best in 2024? You can interpret it however you wish, but there are 12 members, as decided by us, the panelists, that are currently on Quarterback Island. So to go over it, let's talk about them. And I'm going to go alphabetical order, so we're not playing any favorites.
Okay.
Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Sam Darnold got put onto the island last time.
Greg has a problem with it already.
No.
No, you heard the pause. Good catch, Colleen.
Jared Goff also got put onto the island last time around. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy. They've been there all along. Geno Smith got onto the island last time around.
Yeah.
Listen
Matthew
to the change in the
Stafford.
voice.
Yeah, went up.
And CJ Stroud. So that's after week 4. Here we are after week 8.
Wow, that flew by.
Yeah.
Did it though?
I do measure time
People
in
say
Quarterback
that.
Island.
But that feels so long ago, honestly.
Yes and no,
You hadn't
honestly.
even lived in the Kimpton Fitzroy in London for a couple weeks.
You either.
By then.
I hadn't ridden on the back of a motorcycle over in London either.
Greg.
That's true. Yeah.
What?
Evel Knievel.
Just think. I do feel like these seasons, like people say they move fast. I get it. At the end, you blink and it feels like it's over, but it's like that feels like a million years ago.
Oh, when you're in it, it is a different method of time somehow. Like we're in some other simulation while we're in it, but then after, it's like, oh my gosh, that was quick.
Maybe we are in Quarterback Island.
Oh my God.
It's like Lost. Time has different.
Don't give away potential surprise season finales.
Oh, man.
And yes, we do have some twists. One I will introduce to you right now. There is going to be a function of the show.
Greg, by the way, is the producer of this, and he's also a contestant, judge.
Yes.
He's kind of an every
The power structure
jack of all
is-
trades.
the
I also
power
have
structure
points
is
on the
really
back
nice.
end.
Yeah.
He's also trying to play Svengali.
I'm selling this to syndication. It's all happening.
Okay, tell us about the twist.
Okay, there is a new part of the show called the Riptide. And for the entire rest of the season,
Excuse me.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, baby.
Steve crawling to the bathroom.
thanks, Dad. That's a granddad joke there. That's good. You're absolutely
Matthew
right.
Stafford.
We might need to work on the Riptide one now because every time I hear it, that's what I'm going to think about. The Riptide.
Oh, all right. No. Oh, no.
The hot tub and Austin Powers.
Each one of you, for the rest of this entire season, through the playoffs, and we will have a version of it in the playoffs, you can use one Riptide. Just once the whole rest of the season. That means there's someone on the island that you are taking off, and there can be no argument to it. So the whole show could have just put them onto the island, and you could take them back
Just
off.
one single
player, and you can use it this show if you want. You can use it next time around. You can use it at the end of the season. You can hold that card in your pocket. You have a Riptide card.
Wow.
Okay.
We're dunking somebody in the shallow water.
Just so that, like, if you feel that strong, and it could be strategic too, you could hold that over someone, if you want to get what you want.
There's
But
no vote. Wow.
So we
Okay.
just talked about the full screen. I mean, no, we just talked about the Quarterback Island, the members that are there now.
Uh-huh.
I think let's just start by introducing who I would suggest just be locks to stay on the island. Otherwise, we're not going to vote until the very end this time.
All right, what you got?
Colleen.
Sounds good.
Why are you directing it at me?
Because I forgot to talk about this with you before the show. That's all.
Okay. I'm fine.
That we're not voting till the very end. I would suggest there are 6 probably 7 locks to remain on the island that don't need a lot of discussion. We can talk about them just as players, but that they remain on the island. Of the 12 current members that are on the island right now, here is who I suggest remain without a vote. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, MVP candidate, Lamar Jackson,
MVP candidate.
Joe Burrow, playing well. Jaden Daniels has done absolutely nothing to take him off the island. MVP candidate. CJ Stroud. And I would say since we put Jared Goff on the island last time around, it's hard to say the way that he's played since week 5 thereuld be any reason
no
to
disagreement.
possibly
Absolutely.
take
no
him off.
disagreement.
Are there any disagreements, even a CJ Stroud?
No.
No.
Okay. Any thoughts on just any of those guys you want to just get out there while we're here?
Found something interesting. The difficult thing with what's going on with CJ Stroud right now is obviously his offensive line, particularly in pass protection. Next Gen Stats found his pressure rate to be on 41% of his dropbacks, which is the most of any, like, if we're going to just like loosely frame, like a quality starter in the NFL right now. But it's interesting when you compare that to the pressure that Jared Goff is actually getting. He's at now a 34.4% pressure rate. Some of that's based on opponent recently and what they were trying to do to him. He's right behind like a Geno Smith, for example, which we know his offensive line has also been atrocious. And so I'm basically arguing, that these are two very different teams, and what the Houston Texans are, what's happening to them right now, and what we know the Lions, how we know them to be built. CJ Stroud is making the most out of what is happening with him. But actually pressure is increasing on Jared Goff because people are actually trying to see, is this the same Jared Goff who could get frazzled, who would start playing worse once the pressure increased? But he currently leads all qualified quarterbacks in yards per attempt, completion percentage, CPOE, so completion percentage over expected, and passer rating when under pressure this season.
They have the best offensive line, the Lions, right?
Yeah, but they're designing pressure. Opponents are designing pressure against them differently now. So he is getting pressure.
That left side hasn't been great.
But he's managing
Taylor
pressure
Decker.
differently. And just go back and watch Lions Vikings. I'm kind of going to throw out whatever last week was. It was just fun. It was like an absurd box score. It was hilarious. But when you go back,
No yards. 50 points.
he threw 3 touchdowns and 15 pass attempts.
crazy.
But when we're actually going back, I don't really want to hear the Jared Goff pressure argument at this moment right now from not at this table, of course not, but externally, because he's actually managing things better when you go back and watch that game and watch him orchestrate the line the way that he did. That was really savvy, smart quarterback play, and it was a veteran quarterback play where he's manipulating the pressure, not the other way around. That's the difference in really sealing him on this island right now for me, why I don't think there's an argument. Even if there was, I just don't think there should be. And similar to CJ Stroud, the way he's playing in consideration of all the pressure, it's interesting. These are 2 very different situations and marginally like a little bit of a different pressure rate here, but they're both managing it to the best of their abilities, which I think has actually increased in terms of what they're able to do year over year.
He stays on the island. His family can come as well. Like, he gets perks.
But basically what Jordan's saying is the nerve of Ben Johnson taking the ball out of Goff's hands and letting David Montgomery throw it back. Like, what the hell?
Goff does have some funky numbers. He is just having like a bizarre season that he's like 23rd in QBR and not in the top 20 in PFF. It is an eyeball test of like you watch CJ Stroud, and to me, it's just so clear that he is one of the, I would say, 8 best quarterbacks in the league. So I don't need to see the numbers. Goff is having an incredible season, but the numbers are a little bit all over the place. And part of that is situational, that he's in such advantageous situations. There's a stat called EPA plus, where it's like based on the situation of the play, did you have a positive of what's expected or not? And he's averaging that. Part of that is because the Lions are always in great situation, and Goff is taking advantage of it. No argument. He's on it.
Just an interesting finding.
Here's one. I mean, this is just to be a jerk, like, because Patrick Mahomes is like the dude, right? But he got the lopsided touchdown interception ratio.
Oh yeah, he's
8 touchdowns, 9 picks.
It is crazy,
right? If we're talking about, but now here's the thing though: with 2 minutes, with a minute 30 left in the game, do you want anybody else on this island but him?
No.
So, and this is probably going to flip the more they get D-Hop and stuff in it. But that, to me, when you're looking at the guys who are locks, if you just go statistically, like he's a little upside down.
No one has more interceptions.
Right.
He's vacillated too between like the 15 to 17 EPA per dropback range to like as high as 8. And the Chiefs are 7-0, but their offense is the second lowest EPA per game since 2018. And their first lowest was in 2023 by a significant margin. So caveat, caveat, caveat. What did they do in 2023 anyway, despite having that? But yeah, to your point, it is really, speaking of lopsided stats and lopsided numbers, he is certainly a descriptor of that.
Yeah, you're not seeing the wow plays.
They're getting ready to take off.
You're not seeing the wow plays, but you're seeing this is why he does well in PFF, for instance, versus other stuff, is because he's just getting little gains, little pluses every play. He's making smart decisions. You're not seeing the big-time throws. It is crazy, though, to be in Week 8, and he has 9 interceptions, 8 touchdowns.
Only 8 touchdowns.
I'm not trying to be locked into that stat more than others. All right, let's just throw the rest of the guys in one big bucket.
Okay.
And by that, I mean the players that we've decided are not locks that were on the island.
Okay.
And that's Dak Prescott, that's Sam Darnold, it's Brock Purdy, it's Geno Smith, and Matthew Stafford. But what I'm going to say is that we're going to discuss all of these guys and the players who could potentially be added all as one, and we're not going to vote until the very end. So
You're looking at me again.
We'll mix it up.
This
I'm just
at
trying
me
not
again.
to
Why?
just
I
look
got
over
it
here.
The first time.
It's because Jordan's cord that's closer to him is actually a shield.
Who do we want to talk about first? I want to talk about someone not on the list first. Let's talk Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk O'Chain.
Let's just talk a little.
One of my two, Jordan.
Kirk
Oh,
Cousins.
that's, I figured. I thought.
Okay. Oh, so you guys are what, making alliances ahead
No.
of time?
Oh, look who's
No.
paranoid.
Jeez.
Look
No.
who's paranoid.
Yeah, I mean,
One of my two. Okay, so what does that mean? Two guys that you think
Greg,
should
you were
maybe go on.
present. You were
We're
present
not
for
voting.
this. You
We're
were
not
present
voting.
for this conversation this
I'm not
morning.
voting till the end.
But what I'm saying, and I'm lobbying for Kirk
Okay.
O'Chain. Okay, because, we come to your trap, we take your trap. And that's exactly what he's going to do to somebody on this island. Kirk O'Chain has lit up the Bucs twice in the past 3 weeks, lit them up. But now he's got Kyle Pitts rolling. He's got this offense functioning like they thought of. He stands in the pocket. He doesn't move. But you look at Kirk O's numbers. He's a third-ranked quarterback. He's got 2,100 yards, 7.8 yards attempt. That's one of the best in the NFL. He's got the 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. But the last few weeks, the swag surfer, he's a surfer. He can surf onto the island.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Kirk O'Chain has been doing it. I'm sorry.
I mean, his mobility is about the size of a surfboard, though. We are looking at Kirk's scramble. If you're watching on YouTube, you could measure it. You know how Next Gen Stats usually does like the 22 miles an hour? They actually did that with like a sundial with Kirk Cousins' screen. They just put it upside down, and that's how it was a special Next Gen.
All right.
He's been really good against the Bucs, and then
With who on defense?
exactly 8 touchdowns against the Bucs,
killing 'em.
6 touchdowns against everybody else.
Ooh, good stat, Con.
I love that. If he was only playing the Bucs, he'd definitely be on it. Now, some of the overall stats, like he is 6th in completion percentage over expected.
That's his bag.
He's
though.
on the island in all these advanced stats where he's about 8th to 10th or 11th. And there is something that I consider when it comes to quarterback island, which is who is defining the position right now.
There he is.
Okay.
Who
This
matters?
is an intangible.
There he
It
is.
and everyone can be different. It's a combination of who's playing the best, but who's it this season? And I gotta say, stationary Kirk Cousins, he's it. I mean,
He's
you can't
it.
tell the story of this season without Kirk Cousins. He is a huge figure. Maybe it's all these primetime games or whatever, but he's given us a lot of entertainment. He's in the mix.
To have Luda rooting for Kirk Cousins,
He's making
so
it.
good.
He's making it happen. So I'm not sure how I feel. That's what I say. I don't have a plan. I'm not sure how I feel, but he deserves strong consideration.
Yeah, I go back and forth because, again, he is such a statue, and they clearly have had to manipulate a bunch of what they do on offense in order to help
That sort of
him.
makes it more impressive in a weird way that he's still that productive. Like he's
I don't
like
know,
Aaron Rodgers, except actually good.
I don't know, because they're just asking him to get, some of these quick passes and particularly the efficient passes in, and he's made some tough throws, don't get me wrong, but he's just like, get the ball into the hands of the playmakers. This is the same argument that you potentially were knocking Brock Purdy for at the very beginning of this entire
What in the name of Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott?
No, I'm not
and some of these
arguing.
quarterbacks
I'm not arguing against them. No, trust me on that. I'm bringing up a point. Like, it's just
the ball
Here's
in
where
the
I
hands
would
of your
push back
playmakers.
with you on that is if you made a reel of all these quarterbacks' 10 best throws of the year, Kirk Cousins would be
He's made some throws.
near the top of the best. He has spun it this year, like at a really impressive level that reminded me, like, this guy is a natural thrower of the football because that's all he has left. So it's not all checkdowns. Like, let's talk Baker then, because actually I kind of put these two guys next to each other a little bit.
Okay.
Because they've just played each other a couple times. The numbers are crazy.
Sick.
Like,
He's leading the league in touchdown passes.
I mean, it's not even close.
My God, 21.
He's got 21.
Yeah.
and they're actually also first in passing success rate. Now, I thought last week was instructive. Everything is 10 yards or less. And when it's over that, it gets nasty. And some of the advanced numbers, 16th in QBR, 19th in completion percentage over expected, says maybe it's more about the offense and the receivers than it is about Baker. What do you think about Baker, Colin?
I mean, I think Baker, just based on his numbers, he has a shot to be on there, but I don't know who would you take off? Stafford?
We're
going through all of them.
But what you just said, it may be more about the offense negative. If you watch Bucs games, Baker has driven a lot of this offense.
He pushes the ball.
He has been fantastic.
He's got that moxie.
But I mean, I'm just saying, with what they've tried to do, whether it be quick game, whether he's pushing the ball down the field, he is the reason why their offense is working. Now, 4 weeks
I disagree. I think it's the offensive line and the receivers and the
They don't have any.
No, I totally beg to differ watching them play.
But they've had.
But that's what I'm saying. 4 weeks from now, if Baker's on, Baker's not going to be on.
I kind of feel like
we're talking about in the moment, like he's going to be a past tense guy in a couple weeks just because of the lack of weapons.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that, Steve, and that's why I would put, if you have Kirk and Baker clustered together, that's why I would put Kirk because
ahead.
he is. It's like a star sign or a horoscope. It's Kirk Cousins ascending, and Baker Mayfield descending, or someone's moon is in Sagittarius or whatever. And so I don't know. And so, but I do think that's one of the things that I factored in, not necessarily projecting for the sake of projecting, but also who is catching fire at the right time, who is continuing to make these plays. Kirk Cousins, you cannot argue with that. Baker, I'm more skeptical now than I would have been 2.5 weeks ago.
To be fair, I don't want to be a victim of just last week. Kirk had a rough game against Seattle. That's just 2 weeks ago. But the fact that
the whole team was
Baker
bad.
and Kirk went
Look
against each other twice.
Look at the splits.
Yeah.
Against the Bucs and then everyone else.
The fact that they went against each other, though, twice, and Kirk looked better in both of those matchups, weren't throwing like head-scratching interceptions in both of those matchups. Rather, Baker didn't the first time around. He did last time, and he's had 2 straight weeks of that. That to me gives an edge. Let's talk about one of the guys.
How about I'm going to throw one out real quick because this would really change the dynamic of the island in general. If we put Aaron Rodgers on the island, the psychedelics that would happen on this island would be insane. Imagine the possibilities. You have all of these quarterbacks that should be on quarterback island, and then you bring in Aaron Rodgers.
It would be good for ratings.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you're the producer. This is about the time you throw in a giant house twist, right? You drop some villain into the house.
I love a house twist.
Everyone, that's the Riptide. You guys could use it today if you wanted. That would be amazing if Rodgers was on there and everyone was mad. And
the Jets as a Riptide.
He's a
shaman for everyone.
I don't think he's been as bad as people want to make him out to be. No. That said, he's either amazing or looking like he's 46 years old. And there's no in between. And there's too much of the 46-year-old.
I'll tell you how I'm voting right now. I'm not putting him on the island just because.
Well, this is not a serious.
No, right, for sure. But just when you, yeah, I got it. For the sake of the conversation, I just do think that when you go out and get a quarterback like that, you expect them to consistently play at a level that elevates the entire roster, right? And that is the message that you're sending. And if you are a little on the streakier side, if you also can't move, but you're not necessarily also elevating everybody else around you, whether it's from a personal, there's just been chaos over the last couple weeks. We
have the TNF preview coming up too. So there's a ton to talk about with the Jets.
Good point. Rodgers, we'll bring him up for a vote later, but I think he's facing an uphill battle.
I'm just going to put the Colleen balloon out here. If we're going that way, Jameis would be the most fun person.
Oh my God, yes. Jameis quoting Eminem. I can't. I love
face.
everything. Yes.
Yeah. Who
earnestly.
knows? Maybe he'll be here in 4 weeks. We'll be talking about Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. That would
Joe Flacco.
That would be an odd pair.
What year is it?
Let's talk Stafford. One of the guys that was on it right now, coming off his best game of the season. If he didn't have that performance on Thursday night, he would have a tough case. But you get your receivers back and you play better. And we thought he was worthy in the first 4 weeks. My
only issue with him, because remember I fought against him, it had nothing to do with him necessarily. It's just the other guys I thought we're playing better with him. That's the only argument I would make right now. You talk about the ascending players. I mean, we saw Matt Stafford do that Thursday night. He looked like
he got a care package on the island with Puka and Cooper.
Right. Yeah. Is QB Island about projection though, or is it about what you've done this season? And it can't just be TNF.
That's the argument. That's just like the 100 best players at 2025. We're not talking about past. We're talking about what's going to happen. Is it projection or past? So, this is tough because there are 3 dudes who I think could really push to get on. That's why I think Matthew Stafford is still on the teeter-totter this season.
Okay, it's going to be close. And yeah, he does not fare well to PFF's overall grades, which in theory should remove like the surroundings, but doesn't really. It's impossible to do. 29th. He's 11th in QBR, 25th in completion percentage over expected. So we'll see. How about Darnold? He got on last time around. He's only played 3 games since. One was a win where he played terribly against the Jets in London. Where he really dragged them down. I thought he had a couple plays. And then there was a couple of losses where I don't think he was the problem.
No.
But he wasn't exactly necessarily the solution. Maybe not quarterback island worthy.
What?
What do you think?
I feel like he should still be on quarterback island and that he's being judged on his name and not his play, as Chris Wesseling would say. When you look at his first 4 games, Darnold obviously completed 68% of his passes, league high, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was throwing the ball downfield, an average depth of target of 8.8. But obviously, then came the horror show in London against the Jets.
And they won.
That was the worst game for him of the season. But the last 2 weeks, he's completing 76% of his passes, 499 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's getting hit a ton, and they're winning.
What do your eyes?
We're winning.
What do your eyes tell you though? Like to me, it's like if you're going to be on the island, you got to be a difference maker. Is he a difference maker? Is he going up and down with what his surroundings are? Numbers wise, 16th in PFF, 20th over the last 4 weeks, 13th in QBR. He also doesn't throw the ball that much, which kind of matters to me. Like guys who maybe have to do more. 12th in success rate, 15th in EPA. So what that would say is like he's sort of on the borderline despite a good situation, even statistically.
You're reaching the part of the Sam Darnold year. You've seen this sometimes with quarterbacks in the past, and there's no reason to think that he can't progress forward after sort of hitting a neutral zone a little bit with what he's doing right now. But you're reaching the part of it's not bad, but it's also not elevating. It's being elevated by. And that's fine, especially in the middle portion of a year when the weather starts to change, when you're starting to figure things out after a couple of bad losses, losing his left tackle. When we talk about ascending or descending, losing the left tackle is going to be really not
especially because that left tackle is really good.
Yeah, and so, but I think you're starting to see the version of Sam Darnold, and you expected this to be coming. This is not a bad thing, where the Kevin O'Connell factor and leaning on the offensive coordinator and leaning on, on the play caller and the game designer and the playmakers around to now lift the quarterback just a little bit higher, where he's not, like I said, not bad, but just sort of in that neutrality point, that sort of median zone where you're not necessarily the one elevating the team around you.
I like that argument because some of the other people I think should be on put him at risk.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is there's just other good options, and sometimes the stats. I think Sam Darnold's passing, like basic passing stats, always look a little better. It's kind of like Russell Wilson, because the things he struggles with are he fumbles the ball, he takes too many sacks, like that safety that should have been called a penalty. He should have not been holding the ball so long on that play. That was bad quarterbacking. He's just sitting back there. That 20-yard sack that he took earlier in that Thursday night
wasn't good.
Those don't show up in the box scores necessarily. How about Jalen Hurts, your guy in Philly, coming off one of his best games
that was the
of
best
his career? Certainly,
he was great.
Season. Throwing over the middle of the field and on design
it.
runs, like the two things that you get on him for, and he played great. They're playing better overall. I mean, I think he deserves
that game.
Conversation.
He had his highest passer rating, 3 rushing touchdowns. He has 5 rushing touchdowns in the last 2 games. The Eagles have won 3 straight games, and he's dealing with Nick Sirianni on top of all of this. So I think that he deserves a ticket to the island.
Just question for the group. Question for the group: how many games per sample size are in our quarterback island selections?
Oh, the whole season.
But when we're talking about how we section out splits, things like that, we go 4 games at a time, right? So it's a hypothetical question.
Well, since last time, I'm personally taking the whole season into account, but kind of recapping what's happened since last time and added to the mix.
Right. Well, that was a hypothetical, but I'm using it to say over the last 3 games, not just the last game, but the last 3 games have been some of the best Jalen Hurts football that we've seen in a while. He's 3rd in EPA per dropback over the last 3 games, and he has 9 touchdowns. He's 42 for 59 with no interceptions, 71.2% completion percentage, and they have their run game going, and he's managing some of the things that are necessary for them to have this balanced offense, again, despite some of the circumstances
thank God for
that they went through earlier. So I would say, like, it's not just the one game that's spiking his case. I think it's 3 games out of the last several.
I push back a little because I think the 2 previous were not good Jalen Hurts. They were good statistically, but he's not seeing the field, and they are transitioning to a run-first type of team. I
think he was seeing it a little bit slower.
Right, not like open receivers and not taking it, and like I have a feeling he didn't grade that well within the team in those couple games. So I have a tough one with him because I like him a lot. He's coming off a good game, but I also see that he's maybe not the most important person in their offense.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that, and that's why I'm like, he was great, and having A.J. Brown back makes hell of a difference, right? We're seeing these quarterbacks getting their number 1 receivers back, Matthew Stafford, and playing well. But coming off a great game, but the other 2 people in Philadelphia were still ready to run him out the door.
No, not him.
They were not loving it.
I mean, it was a lot of Sirianni. It was a lot of the coaching staff. It was a lot of the Kellen Moore and the play calling.
I am happy for Nick Sirianni to have. This is it. This is the first week of the entire season where he can be like,
that's
not
so
the
true.
main story.
Do you think
he
there
is?
hasn't been one. No, probably not. He's like, like, no one's gonna make fun of my haircut anymore. All right, let's talk.
He's on the fence. If we pull enough people off, he gets on.
Okay,
I've got some other people.
Okay, Dak is a guy we're not voting on right now, but I don't think I'm out of pocket to say of all the guys who have been on,
he's vulnerable.
He's vulnerable.
I think he's very vulnerable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone want to explain why you think he's vulnerable?
I mean,
what do they got going on? I mean, he hasn't been horrible, but we talk about difference makers.
Yeah.
Again, not all that's on him. He's got CeeDee Lamb and exactly. Okay.
And the numbers. So I don't think he's playing well. I think you can.
No.
He has 1 game with a 100 passer rating, and the rest are sub 92.
The numbers are brutal for him. 26th PFF, 23rd QBR, 28th EPA per play, 29th success rate. Like, not even in the zip code. Now, I think he's better than all that, but I do believe in Dak Prescott enough that he should be better than this. I think it's the worst he's played as a pro, really. I guess a couple of years ago he had some interceptions, but I think he was playing well and having some bad luck and making some mistakes. This time it's not happening.
I would sort of add to that point too, being like, well, you can ask your quarterback if you are an above average to elite level quarterback, somewhere in that window or that general tier, you can ask your quarterback to do a lot of things for you. And they did. And you saw he made the most of the situation earlier in the season. It's part of the reason why he's on the island in the first place. But if you take away this guy's defense and you continue to stall out and just like have a disgusting run game that just doesn't move the ball, if you're not moving the ball, if you have
Purdy had more
no
rushing
other
yards
weapons,
than the entire team
and
for the Cowboys.
If you have no other weapons, and then the guy you do have, it's every week or so, it just depends. Is he a match for the scheme? What's going on with the scheme? If you have the owner on the radio calling out bad scheme and bad plays,
that's healthy.
if you have different things,
great.
you're taking so much away from this guy. You're asking him to be a superhero, and at some point, you just hit a wall. You're probably, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. They're different quarterbacks, very different quarterbacks, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point across the end of this stretch, you also see Joe Burrow hit some kind of a wall. You're asking too much. Just because these guys can do these things doesn't mean they have to do or should have to do all of it. And you have to get him some help, wherever, on which side of the ball. Pick one.
Well, I think he's going to need a realtor soon. He's got a burgeoning family, and I think he's renting on Quarterback Island right now.
He's going to Airbnb it, maybe. I don't know.
Let's talk about someone we're not going to go deep into. I just want to give Trevor Lawrence some pop of having a nice couple of weeks. If he plays like he played the last 3 weeks for 4 more weeks in a row, we'll be talking about him more in depth next time on Quarterback Island.
Brian Thomas is legit now.
He's not a risk. He's not getting on the island, though, now.
No.
How about Kyler?
How about Kyler? Now,
Oh, okay.
I was banging for him last time, right?
Hey.
What's he done? They're playing better football. We're talking about ascending players. We're talking about quarterbacks uplifting everybody else. Trey McBride, everyone's jock riding him. Yes, I'm using that expression right now. He's everybody's fantasy guy. Oh, gee, who's throwing him the ball? Who's making things happen with him? Marvin Harrison, getting some things done. Kyler Murray. We can sit here and argue about all that. When you look how Kyler Murray has been playing, running the ball, throwing the ball, getting this offense going, guess who's in the hunt now for the NFC West?
They're a top 10 offense now.
Yes.
EPA.
Kyler.
Greg and I were texting about this because we believed in the Cardinals offense as much as they've disappointed us and let us down and made some questionable decisions and play calls at certain points. When Kyler, to your point, is involved in the run surface, not necessarily designed runs, but when he gets involved,
even scrambling
in the run surface, this is a totally different team. Trey McBride being back, James Conner, some people believed in him the entire time. It just he when you have all of these elements mixed in, and the play caller is making efficient, sound decisions and personnel decisions in terms of the formations and the groupings. This is again a futuristic offense in 2024.
Yeah, and there would be a burgeoning gaming community on
hey. Just add some psychedelics in there, and it's really going over.
Video games and mushrooms. Colleen's in.
This island sounds amazing.
I love that. He's 7th in PFF. His advanced passing metrics are all about borderline of what would be on the island. Somewhere, depending on what you like, 9th to 14th, something like that. But then when you add in the rushing value, you add not a lot of negative plays, not like fumbles or interception. I think the biggest negative to him is I think sometimes their coordinator is like, can you just run the play that we called? And that has some fluctuations. Like if we had this conversation a couple weeks ago, there's fluctuations, but we're coming off a game where he was spinning it against Miami, and those look like the plays that were called. Really nice throws. There is something about the whole defining the season to me. The fact that he's called his shot on about 3 or 4 long touchdowns, 40 yards out.
Love that.
That gives him a little extra juice. Purdy hasn't had a lot of juice this year, and maybe he could have been in the safe category, but he's been a little rickety over the last 4 weeks. So I just thought we'd throw him out here. But a very solid.
I've got his back. I've got Brock's back here. He's. The stuff he's done with Jennings and the in and out cast receivers, and he's still getting after it. We saw him run the ball. You added, what'd you call it, the run surface value, Jordan. This dude, we could put him on any of these teams that the other guys in the quarterback island are doing, and he's playing ball.
Brock's got to stay.
Yeah, and I don't think, and you saw this, when he fell on the potential. I mean, he got hit so hard he should have fumbled that ball on Sunday night. And was it Monday night, Sunday night?
Sunday night against the Cowboys. Yeah,
space and time has no meaning anymore, especially on the island. No, but he they already have made enough. Whether it is, and my colleague Marcus Thompson wrote about this over at The Athletic. Great, legendary columnist, and he's commenting on the fact that. Brock Purdy hasn't played at an elite level the entire time. He's made the most of a complete opposite ethos that this team had to play with, whether it was the beginning of the year. Then he had some rough spots, but wasn't necessarily a detriment or pulling back the team.
The Chiefs game was the one negative. Really, that's the only big blemish.
Right.
The mistakes and the self-inflicted wounds are coming from elsewhere in the house for the most part, right? And so even when there was an opportunity for him to really look lost when letting go that football on the sack, he didn't. He held on. And so what Marcus was saying is he's sort of embodying how they have to just gut through some of this stuff and mitigate the huge issues until they can get this thing clicking back. And he's been the right quarterback for them to do it.
Yeah, here's an interesting question. Because Brock Purdy's going to be the next step to make the $60 million a year. Do you think that's a wise investment? Because I do. Because to your point, Jordan, he's not the guy who's going to pull you back. Now, is he necessarily going to be the guy to lead you to the promised land? Maybe.
Yes.
Things have to work well
John
around
Lynch
him.
Would do that because after what he went through before with Trey Lance.
I'm just kind of to me, that's as safe as an investment as you can make and giving Brock Purdy that money.
I think so too, and
he's young.
It's tricky, but he already took him to the promised land as far as I'm concerned. He was in spots where he needed touchdown after touchdown after touchdown in the NFC Championship. Got it. Needed scores on drive after drive after drive in the Super Bowl. Got it. His defense let him down. It is what it is. Otherwise, he'd be the Super Bowl champion. he did pull things off the table against the Chiefs. One of the worst games I've ever seen Brock Purdy
look
play.
at the defense.
But there's been 8 games here in the season, and I agree with everything else that were being said. So 5th in PFF, actually higher this year in PFF than he was a year ago, 9th in QBR. Overall, the numbers are pretty good for Brock. I
you
think
didn't have him as a lock. You didn't have
Maybe
him
he should have been a lock.
The disrespect.
I just figured we should talk about him. Jordan Love is an almost impossible guy to talk about right now because
Love is impossible. You're right.
people
Who wants to go on vacation with a groin injury? Right?
Oh my God.
Nobody.
defeats the whole purpose.
Somehow our 2 sentences connected with each other.
Or Joe
completely
Flacco's
on accident.
mobility. Oh God.
I was so ready.
Greg's ready to be done with us.
No, I love it. I love groin injuries.
You clearly have never had one because I've had one.
No.
They're not good, Greg.
So I was ready to make a case for Love, to make a case for him
What
to
happened?
be on the island. Then he got hurt halfway through the game, and it's this other just in between because he might end up playing this week, and it ends up being fine. But already he had a weird case for quarterback island because I think you're having to look past some of the numbers to me and trust what your eyes are, which is that he is the most confident quarterback in the league. He is making some of the toughest throws week after week after week. And style points count a little bit.
Yeah, he's
for
wearing
me.
a hemp
it's
necklace.
It's not like the numbers are bad. He's got 15 touchdowns and he's missed a couple games and he's completing passes down the field. Like he's very aesthetically pleasing to watch.
But how good of a coach is Matt LaFleur in that offensive staff? Because Malik Willis has come in, won a game, came in that game, and balled.
Yeah, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions over the last 4 games. Obviously, some of it is injury, whatever. But I do worry about the injury. I kind of neutralized him on this in this conversation. Personally.
She's killed people for injuries.
Yeah, I'm
not neutered him, neutralized. Right? Yeah,
Here we go.
Okay.
He's been interesting against the blitz, though. Under pressure, obviously every quarterback is different under pressure, but he's 31st in EPA when being blitzed this season. So, he's slightly better than Deshaun Watson, but worse than Gardner Minshew.
That's what I was saying. Some of the
Andy
teams are going to start heating him
worse
up.
than Bo Nix.
Some of the advanced numbers aren't great for him. I think he does better on the eye test.
Speaking of advanced numbers, though, what about your boy Gino?
Okay,
the yardage totals are beautiful, but getting in the end zone.
I hope he's doing okay. He's just been hit a lot.
A lot of sunburns.
he has been hit a lot. Like he's number 1 in positive EPA, like +1 positive. He's first in positive EPA, which was the one I mentioned earlier, which is like it accounts for the situation. How many positive plays have you had considering the situation that you're in? And he's first in the league in that. Other stuff, not so great. Like EPA per play, 11th. 16th in PFF over the last 4, like 11th overall, 14th in QBR. He's on that borderline. My argument would be the ultimate, just kind of watching him on a play-to-play basis. He feels like one of the best 12 quarterbacks in the league. Yes,
he is. I just threw that out there because the stats don't. Besides,
I think he's borderline. Even as a fan, I don't think he's definitely on there.
I think he's kind of where we were talking about Stafford last time, and some of it was situational context. That stat that you mentioned, let's dig into that a little bit better, because what that stat actually says is you are lifting this much despite the fact that in so many other major categories of this offense, you are at the floor. So because it factors in situational context. So it's basically saying, here's the level of hero ball you are playing. And I think that that's important to factor in because, first of all, that's not sustainable. And you could see that they're starting to really struggle. But second of all, even though he's still playing, I think, like a top 12 quarterback to our point in the NFL, 4 weeks from now, let's check on it again.
Can I throw one out there that's a total wild card? That
I would love that.
I thought we're almost out of it. I have one more.
What about Bo Nix?
Okay.
Oh, you watched a lot of Bo Nix, haven't you?
He's not dazzling, but we're talking about uplifting your team.
I think he's in the
next time category discussion.
No, he's at the
Get
a nice little shout out from
now.
Steve Weiss at minute 55 of the show.
Yes, I love it, Rosie.
But not
way to push
not
it.
really
I like it. That's a hot one.
I mean, he played well against Carolina. He's passing the test of are you an NFL quarterback or not? He is.
Yeah, okay.
Which is to me if you're protected, can you deliver? And he is, but we're talking about
great against the worst defense.
What about Sean Payton? That take.
That was,
yeah, we knew that offense we're playing wasn't very good.
play better. There's There's something there. I don't know what it is, but there's something there.
Oh, there's some hot sauce.
He doesn't say stuff like that without a reason.
Justin Herbert is the last, I think, name we got to talk about in depth.
Poor Justin Herbert. He's lost at sea.
Is he?
I just feel like
he's floating on his own little Herbie Island and hoping for a strong current to float him all the way up to Quarterback Island. And I think he can do it.
It goes back to the point that you made weeks ago that Jim Harbaugh is hiding his best aspect, which is his arm. He has a cannon. He's 22nd in the league in attempts.
Here's the thing. It's getting better, though. We're trending better. Since the bye.
I want to see him on the island.
Yeah.
I would love for him to be there.
I look at the numbers, and it's like, oh, wow, he only has 1 interception. That's very Justin Herbert. He is combining being careful with, I think, the last 3 weeks, starting to be aggressive. When he had that run and he was galloping out there like he was in the Kentucky Derby or something, I was like, ooh, I haven't seen that out of Justin Herbert for a while. And he's ripping some great one-on-one throws.
Who competes.
I think now he is passing the eye test and the production test.
And they're in the playoff. They're in the thick of it.
It's a snapshot of right now, too, when we're talking Quarterback Island. And for what it's worth, I broke it down to just weeks 5 through 8. He only played 3 of those games because there was a bye week in there. He is PFF's #1 quarterback over that time because you just don't see negative plays out of him right now.
He's got more pass attempts than Jared Goff.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
Justin Herbert.
Let's talk about last week as skewing.
Yeah, I mean that absolutely skewed the numbers last week. That's like how crazy.
I just love that box score so much.
But I mean, look, he hasn't. But here's the thing: he hasn't played in every game, and he plays in a run-centric offense.
Yeah, and he's been really let down by his receivers. We mentioned this 2 weeks ago. His receivers dropped 7 passes. 7 passes. I mean, and that was a game that like nobody in the world watched, but he was spinning it. And so he's playing like we know him to play. He's sort of doing it kind of like on Herbie Island, like in a vacuum.
Love watching
and I do think that at the beginning of the year, we do have to factor in the fact that they were, and they have since alluded to this a few times publicly, they were playing a very different style of offense in part to help mitigate the injury and the pain that he was dealing with.
Right.
So I do think, again, if we're going to talk about, first of all, sample size, which I thought we weren't doing that, but we are. And so
what do you mean?
I'm just kidding. I want to do it for Herbert.
I don't know the rules. He's the dude climbing the coconut tree.
It's Herbert rules.
I'm saying where they're playing right now.
I'm trying to rally you up, Greg. But just in terms of the sample size of actually healthy Herbert playing in an iteration of this offense that is sort of developing toward what it's going to be, and factoring in at the beginning you were dealing with the injury, like I'm ready to see Herbert on the island.
Okay.
So this is. Right, so this goes back to when I covered the Dolphins and Jimmy Johnson first took over. He has Dan Marino, all these great receivers, and he runs the ball. Like you've got a dude who can do it, who can fling it, who can do all those great things, but you're giving it to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the running back version, instead of throwing it up to all the other guys. That's kind of what's going on with Herbert, right? A competitor like hell.
Man, if he had let Marino throw it, maybe Stafford wouldn't have passed him this last week.
There we go.
Look at that.
I might have to take him off the island, so I had to give him that.
Let's talk Stafford. Let's talk Herbert. There's about 10 guys. We're not going to talk Rodgers. We kind of did it.
No.
We're not going to vote on Lawrence. We're not going to vote on Caleb Williams or Russell Wilson or your guy Bo Nix. We got about 10 guys to vote on. Let's do that after the break. We are back on Quarterback Island.
Let's get it.
We've reached the voting portion of the program.
Your hand is getting
Steve
close.
Weiss
Yeah, that's what I was
is
thinking too.
giving away his moves between the breaks, saying he only is kicking 2 people off.
Yeah,
He's letting 2 people on.
I like what we did before.
Jordan's wondering if it's possible that the size of Quarterback Island could be reduced at some point.
You still haven't answered the question.
We are voting for 12 members of Quarterback Island.
Okay.
And we've already put 7 on. It sounded like Brock Purdy didn't really need a vote, so I guess
Brock's
I'll vote on
Yes.
Brock just to make this quick.
Yep.
And we all make sure you vote out loud because this is
Brock,
an
yes,
audio
yes.
medium.
Yes for Brock.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we now have 4 spots left on the island. You know, we've got the guys that were on there before.
Okay.
And I think we're going to vote on Herbert, Love, Hurts, Cousins, Baker, Kyler are all there. So that's a total of 10 guys for 4 spots. And I'll start with Dak Prescott because that one seemed like, of all the guys that were on the island, he was in the most amount of trouble. It's nothing personal, Dak.
This
but
is
Colleen,
a clean sweep.
Colleen, what is your answer?
No. He's out. He's got to go.
It's not the play scheming either.
And we want better for you.
Yeah, we want more for you. It was a great 8-week run or whatever it was. You were there in the preseason.
I hope you don't get replaced by another NFC East quarterback.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Something tells me that you're not there. I feel like
C4 is hitting.
Interesting.
All right, so Dak is.
We know where gone. Dak is gone. We now have
the dinghy's coming for Dak.
Yep.
We now have 9 guys for those 4 spots. I was pleasantly surprised by how encouraging you guys were about Gino. I thought you didn't really like me or necessarily like Gino that much. But I'm going to bring up Gino for vote. I'm saying yes. It wasn't the best 4-week stretch. I don't think he did enough to get kicked off the island. I think he's one of the 12 best quarterbacks in the NFL. I vote yes. Steve Weiss.
He's a keeper. I told you, I only got 2 guys coming off, and Gino ain't one of them.
Okay, yeah. Jordan Rodriguez.
Whoops, wrong one.
She votes yes.
Yes, but we'll see by the end.
Okay, it's a soft yes, Wolfie.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going yes as well.
Okay,
right.
So Gino is on.
But we're watching Gino.
We have 9
eyes on him.
9 men on the island. Because I wasn't feeling a lot of appreciation here for the groin injury. Let's talk Jordan Love. Does anyone want to vote yes on Jordan Love? Jordan Love. We have a no from Steve Weiss.
No.
Remember to speak your vote out loud.
No, I have a no. You narrated my no, so I left.
No.
Thanks, God.
Okay, I got a no as well.
No.
You know what? He was closer.
Wow.
Closer for me.
You guys are on the line there and did a switcheroo.
Okay, now we're getting into some really interesting
territory. So now we're saying there's 9 guys.
So far there are 9 guys on, although if things could change, you could always try to kick someone off. In theory, these votes aren't forever. Let's do Baker because that's another one. Him versus Cousins debate was interesting. I thought Cousins kind of kicked him off alone, and I vote no for Baker Mayfield.
I vote no because I think that this is going to be really significant, losing his favorite pass catchers. Unfortunately, hate to see that. His statistics are incredible. I don't want to take that away from him at all, but I'm seeing a quarterback who potentially has some trouble.
I'm giving a super soft no. I mean, I'm close, but it's a super soft no. Like I said, I've only got 2 spots open. He's not one of the 2, but if a third comes open, I'm changing my vote.
Wow.
I'm saying yes because I thought that we were doing this based on what they did up until this point, not what is projected
It's absolutely up to you.
It's like the top 100.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I lose out, but I wish he was on.
I think no.
I think that's fair.
I think a no because of what he's done.
You could use your riptide to pull someone
Absolutely
else
not. Absolutely not.
Too early. Too early.
It might be too early to
She's
do
saving
that.
it for Flacco, baby. Get him on.
Okay, so Baker has been voted a no. While we're on the Baker Cousins talk, this is a borderline guy here. Kirk Cousins. We have 3 spots here after Purdy and Gino available on the island. Man, who wants to make a case?
I'm going yes. I'm swag surfing this one all the way to the island. Kirk Cousins, I would say he's killing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Guess what? He's playing who's in front of him. Kirk Cousins is going to be ascending. I'm using Jordan's argument. He's going to continue to keep rocking and rolling. Their offense is hitting its stride. They don't play Tampa anymore.
I do have one question
for you.
Because Steve, I love that argument. I really do. But I have one question for you. Who do you think could ascend to greater heights over this next stretch? Kirk Cousins or healthy Matthew Stafford with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp? That's where I'm weighing in my head right now.
I'm going Kirk Cousins because of the division that he plays in. I do think it's going to be just a murderer's row in the NFC West. Nothing is taking me off of Kirko Chains.
That's a good point.
Kirko Chains all day.
I'm a no right now for Kirk. I'm sorry.
You got it.
I don't love the way that these games have played out that aren't against Tampa Bay.
Steve, I loved your argument, but my point is too, I think that, because I have him weighed between putting Stafford on or off, and I think a healthy Stafford and a healthy Cooper and a healthy Puka and a returning offensive line getting all their guys back who protected Stafford the best that they have all year, allowed 1 sack against the Raiders and the Vikings. I think that reaches greater heights with Stafford than Kirk Cousins potentially reaches. That's my only argument.
I'm struggling with those two against each other, but I also think a quarterback's got to be more than just their surroundings. There's a undefinable thing about Kirko this year that he's just part of our lives in a way that's meaningful to me. I'm voting yes. I'm voting yes. We're split right now on Kirk Cousins. That is going to be tabled for just a second.
We're not kicking anybody off except Dak then, the way it's going.
Exactly.
We can keep talking. All right.
So who will go on?
Let's talk about who could get kicked off. How about Sam Darnold?
Are we voting to kick him off?
You're either voting yes or no. Is he on the island? That's all.
Is he on the island?
Yeah, that's the question. Is he on the island?
Is he on the island? I put no.
On
the
island?
No.
Yes, because I'm thinking of
Steve Weiss.
Wait,
no.
I'm confusing myself. I'm still a Sam Darnold girl, so I'm going to say yes.
So you're saying the deciding vote comes down to me for Sam Darnold?
Oh, no. How poetic.
I'm sorry to do this, buddy. You're great. You're in the top 15 right now.
Greg's revenge.
You're right on the borderline.
You were waiting for this. You were going to use your riptide if you didn't get this.
Everything happens in perfect timing.
Remember how hard he fought to keep him off?
He gone. So to review, Jordan Love's not making it. Baker's not making it. Sam Darnold is kicked off the island.
We have 2 open spots.
Dak Prescott is kicked off the island. We haven't confirmed everyone that was on the island before. I guess let's talk about who could jump onto the island.
Okay.
Let's talk about Justin Herbert. Does anyone want to make a case for Justin Herbert going onto the island? If so, speak now and explain why.
I only have 1 spot right now.
No. This other dude.
Jordan has a yes.
I'm going ham for other guys.
I have a yes.
Okay.
Well, like I said before, I think he is playing the best football, among the best football of any quarterback in the NFL. The way he's throwing the ball, the way that he can move, he has his feet and his legs back under him. It has been hit or miss in terms of actual production, but they are establishing some steadiness around him. I like Justin Herbert throwing the ball better than almost anybody.
In the playoffs.
I like Justin Herbert throwing the ball better than almost anybody in the NFL.
I'm voting yes on Justin Herbert. I think he's clearly one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the league right now. He was injured early in the season. He was a guy, if he wasn't injured in training camp, I think he would have been on there to begin with. Just eye test and numbers, it's all happening for my guy Herbo. We're split right now on Justin Herbert and Kirk Cousins. Purdy's on as the 8th.
Wow, what range?
Gino's on as the 10th. Who is the guy you want on so badly?
Kyler Murray.
Kyler is your yes.
I've been fighting. This is like my 3rd time going to bat for Kyler Murray.
How about this?
It really is.
And I am not coming down.
Don't think about them. Just make eye contact with me. If you give me Stafford over Cousins, I'll give you Kyler.
Done.
Wow.
Done.
We're shaking hands.
We're here.
What, do we not even matter?
An alliance was made.
Alliance was made.
Oh my God.
We're playing dirty.
Okay, let's
So there's 1 spot. There's 1 spot available?
No, because
we just sealed it.
They don't get to
unless
decide
you're kicking
anything.
somebody off.
Who says the 2 of you can just put Kyler or Stafford on? What if we both have no votes?
Because we split the vote last time, didn't we?
We haven't even voted on Matthew Stafford.
There's really only one other guy
So many quarterbacks to vote on.
She's holding it. I know exactly who it is.
I know who you're going to do.
This is good, though.
Okay,
I
who
didn't
do you
give
want?
it away
Let's just put our
yet.
cards out. Let's put our cards out.
Jalen Hurts goes in. Dak Prescott goes out.
Dak Prescott's
Okay.
off.
So-
We've got Dak and Darnold out already.
They're
Dak and
already
Darnold out.
gone.
Right, Darnold. Okay, so yes.
You're
Yes
voting
on-
for yes.
Are we kicking
Jalen
the 3rd
Hurts.
out? Or are we saying the 10 are definitely on?
Let's talk Matthew Stafford, because if
Oh my
you're saying
God.
I give you,
Let her take the talking Jalen Hurts.
No. Well, I mean, I already did
but we have to see if a spot is open, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's recalculate.
Because I could hear a good Jalen argument if we kick somebody off.
Let's hear about
Right.
Jalen Hurts.
Well, I already gave you my Jalen
Okay.
Hurts.
Okay, so who would we kick off then?
It's very close to me. I'm a no on Jalen Hurts. It's just a numbers game. When I do the numbers. For me, Purdy and Geno are 8 and 9 right now. That leaves 2 players we're split on, Herbert and Cousins. It also leaves Stafford and Kyler. Jalen Hurts is in that mix as well. So there's 3 spots, and there's 5 guys. For me, those 5 guys, Herbert, Cousins, Stafford, Kyler, and Hurts. Only 3 can go on. Hurts is last out of those 5 guys. So I vote no on Jalen Hurts just to eliminate him.
Oh my God!
Just real quick though, I'm not gonna cast my vote yet, okay? Yeah. Because Jalen Hurts then over Kyler or Herbert.
Mm-hmm. You have him over all.
We've
of them?
made the alliance on Herbert.
Well, on Stafford, we made the alliance, and Kyler.
Okay.
So I
I'm
have
really trying
Herbert.
to keep track of this.
Yeah.
So it's like Herbert and Jalen.
So I have Herbert, Stafford, and Murray, which would, unfortunately, I don't want to do this, leave Jalen Hurts the odd man out here. And I did argue for his benefits over the last 3 games.
Do you actually believe that Kyler should go on ahead of Jalen Hurts? Or are you just doing it for the alliance for Stafford to stay?
For both.
I would take Kyler over the other 2.
Okay.
But
I think Kyler's the ceiling that he has showed as a quarterback that he
higher than Jalen's
currently, yes.
Okay.
I would take Jalen over Herbert.
Oh.
Okay. I like that. Yeah.
But it might not matter.
Are you dual alliancing? Are you making 2 alliances?
I'm just saying I would.
Yeah. If we're weighing them out.
Let's vote on Jalen Hurts. Yes or no?
Then we got to kick. Then we got
Jalen.
We got to get a 3rd off.
So we're split again. Steve Weiss has a yes.
Yes. So the tie stays to the incumbent then.
We have 5 different players. We have not officially voted here on Matthew Stafford either. You guys made an alliance that the 2 of you said yes, but we hadn't heard from Colleen and I.
Oh no, he's still on.
So if he is still on, according to Colleen, then he is on the island.
Yep.
So is Geno, so is Purdy. We're going to have 2 new members of Quarterback Island. It is very exciting. Kirk O'Chains, even though I believed in you, Kirk, Steve Weiss believed in you, you're gone.
The numbers game.
The alliances, they went against you, frankly. You couldn't play the game well enough. We have 2 spots for 3 guys.
This is hard.
Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts.
Ooh.
That's really tough.
Wait, 2 spots for 3?
2 spots for 3 guys.
Oh, that's not that hard.
So I think we should all just write down who we don't want on, and if there's a majority,
I don't have a pen.
I will give it to you. I'm gonna write down one name.
So you're writing who
you don't want to make it.
Okay.
Who you don't think deserves to make it. You can write it down.
It's not deserves. It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game.
Deserves
we're in the savagery part of the island.
Who shouldn't go on?
Who shouldn't go on out of the 3 people?
I hate this because all 3 of them are really good.
Same thing with Kirko. He got left off. I thought he had
I don't think you're going to be able to see this on camera.
No, you won't. We're going to just say it out loud, but it's for our purposes.
We're split.
I am saying that Jalen Hurts does not make it onto the island.
Okay.
I still care about you as a person, Colleen.
I know.
Colleen says Kyler does not make it.
Yes.
I'm saying Herbert.
And so the deciding vote, it's up to Jordan Rodriguez.
George got the swing vote.
Who is not making it onto
What's she gonna do?
Quarterback Island?
I already made my case for, I think Justin Herbert's playing the best football of many quarterbacks, top 5 quarterbacks for sure right now. I agree with you on Kyler Murray, and I will not back out of my alliance with you because integrity. So I'm sorry. It's a numbers game. I love how he's playing right now, but Colleen, it's Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is off.
I'm sorry.
Make it.
It pains me. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay, I'll see you guys in 4 weeks.
The alliance was strong. Congratulations to Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert. And I said it. I was going into this not knowing how it was going to happen. I did not think Kyler Murray was making it onto this island.
I didn't see how Kirko couldn't make it.
And it's always same here. I thought Kirk was going to make it on. It's always
wow.
It's always the little guys you didn't see coming. He just scampered his way and popped out of that water.
I've been fighting for Kyler since day 1.
The short
Happy for you, and also for me.
And look, I hope
I'm happy for everyone here.
I hope, Colleen, that
so glad you guys are happy.
Your friendship with Jordan can survive this.
She's not staying late to get with the Germany flight.
Made this
She's out.
Let's just recap again who is on Quarterback Island. Many of the same guys from before. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Let's play that music. Jaden Daniels. Way to go, Jaden Daniels, a rookie. Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy, and Geno Smith, Matthew Stafford. You survived. And then let's welcome to the island, in addition to C.J. Stroud, who has been there all along, Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray. The quarterback island got younger.
What about the NFC West, though? NFC West is like cornered the big block on the island.
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
Talk about an alliance. They could get together the entire
carved out.
Jameis and Flacco are coming. Jameis and Flacco are coming.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Who will it
Crazy
be?
island.
Who will it be in 4 weeks' time? Will Jalen Hurts make that case? Will Kirko Chains prove
I gotta look at schedules
that
now.
Jordan and Colleen were short-sighted and not believing in him? Who knows? Maybe Caleb starts playing better. Could be anyone. Could be Baker
Could be
proving us
anyone.
back. It could be Dak getting his revenge. But that's it for Quarterback Island. I'm looking forward to week 12.
That was great. That was great.